What is going on, all of you amazing gamers out there in the world? I am Mega Amzer. Thank you for checking out this video here, whether you are a new or returning viewer. Appreciate you taking the time, and today's going to be a bit of a short rant video. I know it's been a little bit since I did one of those, but today I am talking about the concept of review scores when it comes to games in particular, and why, the way they're kind of utilized isn't the greatest and kind of leads to some negativity as a result. The review scores, of course, are natural, right? As humans, we want to categorize things. We want to rank things based on our appreciation of them and rank them in different categories and kind of have an overall general basis, where does this get placed on a larger scale, right? That's the concept for tier lists too, top 10 lists, all sorts of that stuff. We like ranking things and categorizing them. The issue comes into play with how they're utilized and how they're perceived. So a lot of this, I feel like, stems from the education system, the public education system. I have my own problems with that, but I'm not going to mention too much of that. Just in general, think of it like at least in the US, I can't speak for other countries, but in terms of a grading system there, right? You have passing is what, 60 or above, I think. I think it probably depends on area and which school too. Definitely let me know in the comments below, because essentially the way it works is 90 to 100 you get an A, 80 to 89 you get a B, 70 to 79 you get a C, 60 to 69 is a D. Anything below that is considered F, failing. Sometimes there's E, I don't know. That gets weird, but we're not doing that. We're not doing no Sonic Adventure ranking here. But essentially, C is seen as average, which is interesting because C is not, granted, median and average are not the same thing, but that's a 70. That's a 70 to a 79 is a C. That's considered the average point. So the issue is translating that over from something like that kind of system where you're applying that to something more like games, movies, music. I'm sure there's music Metacritic somewhere. I have no idea. If there is, let me know in the comments below. There's an inherent flaw with that because you're comparing education to entertainment, right? We're all playing games. Some people do for their jobs, of course, but we're playing games because we enjoy them. We enjoy the immersive experiences. We enjoy the fun times with them. Same thing for watching movies. Same thing for listening to music, reading books. Any of those forms of media is for entertainment, right? It's for pleasure. Don't take that out of context. So applying this ranking scale to those, it creates this weird, almost too official. I don't even know how to word it. It's it makes it way more official than it needs to be. I do think it's nice to be okay, let's take a look at this game. For example, we're taking a look at the most recent Metacritic games. All right, Super Monkey Ball's at a 77. That's pretty good. However, some people on the internet would see that as average, and that is not at all how this should be equating, because it doesn't translate the same over as something like taking an exam, for example. Where in this case, 77 is pretty good, and it's honestly, it's just the way we're trained on our brains these days with social media and just the way it is. So many people on the internet will call that mid. Someone would see a 77. If it's not an 85 or above, a lot of people call these games bad, which does not make any sense. But to be fair, some of these sites are not helping. We rely too much on these review score sites as our own judgment for these games without even trying them ourselves sometimes. So here's the thing, right? On surface level, it's a pretty good judgment of being all right, this game has, let's say for example, Riven. I've never played it, heard a few things about it. It's an 87. That seems pretty good. That seems quite good, right? That might get you interested to check it out. If it's that good of a review score, maybe you look into what kind of game it is, what sites are reviewing it, because at the end of the day, all of it's subjective too, right? Someone can give a game. Let's take a look. I bet you Monkey Ball is going to be pretty mixed. We've got our Game Informer gave it an 80. IGN Spain gave it a 70. Is this really all the reviews? 68 positive, 30 mixed, 0 negative. You're always going to have people across the board. Screen Rant gave it a 90. VGC gave it a 60. It's there's such a range, and everybody is so subjective in their reviews. So certain, it's almost like every review outlet has its own scale. I think that's a big part of it. So that is an inherent issue with sites like Metacritic, where they combine all of them together and give you the average rating, which inherently, it should not be taken at face value at all, because each of these review sites has their own scale. For example, whoever reviewed this, and it can come down to the individual person reviewing it too. Here at Screen Rant, this person might be a very big fan of Monkey Ball. I mean, they start off with if someone has never played a Super Monkey Ball game before. To me, that means that this person is a very big fan of Monkey Ball. Whereas someone of VGC, you know, maybe they could have, maybe they didn't. It's everybody has their own experiences with games. I think on the surface, these can be good to get like a general basis of knowledge here. But it's really, the unfortunate thing is just with the age of the internet and the way things work is that they're taken at face value. Like, oh, this game had mixed results, it must be bad, right? When it could be like it could be like a decent score. It could be a decent game. You have to experience it for it yourself, really, to get full thoughts on a game, right? There are games that I really like that other people don't, and there's games that I really don't like that most other people do. You know, I'm curious. For those of you who watch this channel, we got to look it up. Okay, never mind. I take it back. Metacritic's great. Nah, okay. See, this one's very... Look at it. Oh, that's a user review. All right. Pocket Games gave it a 90. Weekly Famitsu gave it a 70. Ace Games gave it a 90 as well. It's like... This is very mixed. It's all subjective. So inherently, websites like this that amalgamate all these scores, it really isn't accurate. It shouldn't mean much. But unfortunately, first of all, fans will take advantage of this, and they'll literally criticize a game without even playing it based on just its review score. And that also has an impact on developers as well, because we've heard before, let me try to look this up. Some studios literally... Yes. We've heard before about bonuses from developers literally being linked to Metacritic scores. Do you know how screwed up that is? Like, imagine you work so hard on a game and your game gets like a, I don't know, like a freaking 70 on Metacritic. Oh, there goes your bonus for the year. Or there, you got a really small... That doesn't make any sense. It's not even like an accurate score. It's crazy to me that it goes this deep. You know what I mean? It's honestly crazy. It's like, I don't know. There's too much stock put into review score sites. That's really what it is. There's too much stock put into it. I think it's really good for, you know, general base knowledge, being like, all right, very surface level. Let's look at best games. All right, Elden Ring 96, Baldur's Gate 3 96. Yeah, like, makes sense. People love those games. Witcher 3, yep. None of these surprise me. You know, let's go to Switch. Let's see. Breath of the Wild 2, yeah, Breath of the Wild right there. All right, Super Mario Odyssey 97. Like, these make sense generally. Surface level, like, these are fantastic games, right? What is the third game? The House in Fata Morgana? I have no idea what that is. That's wild. I don't even know what that is. And it's at a 96. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Portal Companion, wow. All right. It's just, there's a big inherent issue with how we're utilizing these sites. I think we're all putting way too much stock into not just sites like Metacritic that amalgamate all these scores, but also just review scores in general. I've definitely preferred, you know, when certain outlets or certain channels will use just like a general, like, feeling of like a, you know, like if you like a game, if you like it somewhat, if you really like it a lot, or if you don't like it, like, just kind of going off the vibes. Because, like, giving all these numbers, first of all, it's very difficult to give a game a specific number, whether it's out of a 10 scale or out of a 100 scale. It's very difficult to do that. But also, it's just, it doesn't really make sense. Like, I know we always want to assign things, like, we want to categorize things. We want to assign a number to it to be a point of comparison to other games, but inherently that doesn't make sense. That system is broken. We shouldn't be comparing games to, like, if they're completely different games. For example, you know, Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, this is Banana Rumble, sorry, has a 77 right now. Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition has a 78. Oh, so that means Beyond Good and Evil is better than Monkey Ball. Like, no, they're completely different games. Like, you can't compare them on the same number scale. You know what I mean? Just inherently that doesn't make sense. You really need to be comparing games in the same series or of similar genres. Like, something like that totally can make sense. Like, this game does this better than, right? For example, like, I still haven't played Hollow Knight, but, like, I'm sure Hollow Knight does a lot of things better with the Metroidvania genre than some of the older ones. Like, I mean, especially, like, early Metroid or Castlevania ones. You know what I mean? Like, there's comparisons like that I think are totally fair, because certain games do things better than others. But I think when you're comparing and looking at games like that, I feel like it's better to look at the minute details and compare them. It's a lot of work, but it's better than just looking at the numbers, the Metacritic scores here and being like, oh, Beyond Good and Evil is better than Monkey Ball Banana Rumble. Oh, Elden Ring Shadow of the Earth Tree is better than Beyond Good and Evil. Like that, it could be, but like games, entertainment media is so subjective to where, I don't know. I get the point of review scores. I get the idea because we want to categorize them, we want to rank them. It's inherently flawed. A big way in which it's flawed is just how we perceive them. Because then, I literally just searched the word Metacritic on YouTube because I wanted to see the results. Yeah, that's fair. There are like crazy things where people put way too much stock into different videos. For example, this video about Kirby right here. Shout out to Coney. I've never watched this video. Here's the thing. You cannot like a game that other people like, right? Kirby Forgotten Land had a general 85 Metacritic score. I liked Kirby Forgotten Land. I really enjoyed my time with it. I don't know if I liked it as much as a lot of people. I prefer some of the other Kirby games, but it definitely is up there as one of my favorites. But, you know, I mean, review bombing is kind of annoying, and that's a whole separate thing with user scores that I don't even know if we want to get into that can of worms, but that is inherently super flawed. But like, you're allowed to not like a game based on your own subjective feelings. It's just trying to give an objective score to a subjective media is the inherent issue. And then people perceiving that and either being like just feeling like attacked by these objective scores, or just like internalizing that, taking it as fact rather than opinion, and saying, all right, well, this game sucks or this game is fantastic without even trying it, without even giving it a shot. It's like, use it as a baseline to get an idea of the potential quality of a game. Potential being the key word there, because every game's subjective. You might really like a game that everybody else hates. You might really despise a game that everybody else loves. Sonic Battle for me, I know. And it's like, you gotta experience that for yourself. But it's a good basis to get an idea from. It's just developers, the gaming industry and fans are just putting too much stock in it. That's the issue. They're putting too much stock in it. I think more review places should be using not review scores. Do something like a general scale of like, this is great, this is not great, this is okay, this sucks, this is a masterclass piece. Rotten Tomatoes versus Metacritic, there you go. Rotten Tomatoes is kind of a similar issue, right? Obviously with movies over there. Yeah, and exactly. Shout out to Welfare Walrus here. Bias, exactly. Bias in game scores. It's crazy to me. This was 3 years ago, but like, listen, everybody has their own preferences. It's just, it's crazy that we're putting so much stock in these review scores. You know, I just wanted to talk about that for a brief moment of time. I really look to outlets that you trust their opinions of, you respect their opinions of. Look at their reviews, look at other reviews as well. I wouldn't even go to Metacritic, to be honest. I would look at like separate reviews, because these are heavily skewed depending on the outlet. So I would look at that. And to game companies basing developers' bonuses off of Metacritic scores, stop it. What the hell are you doing? That's crazy. I don't know. That's absolutely nuts. Like, base it off of the sales of the game, not the review scores. The sales of the game are a better indicator for how many copies people bought, not some arbitrary number. You know, I don't know, it's crazy. Anyways, I could go on all day about this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think of sites like Metacritic? I'm not trying to completely shit on Metacritic. Like, I know they just kind of amalgamate all the scores. The inherent issue are those scores themselves, and the fact that we're putting too much stock into scores like these. It's really on us to stop doing this. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, I will catch you all on the next video or live stream. And until then, take care. Play the game. Try out new games. Play the games you want to play. Don't let others' opinions of a game necessarily drag you down. Now, if there's quality issues, of course, but try games out for yourself. You never know what you're going to find. I'll see you later.